What's going on, guys? UFC 309 is going down tomorrow, and here are my predictions for the co-main and main event on this Madison Square Garden main card. Starting off with the co-main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Now, if you know anything about me, if you watch any previous videos, I probably have mentioned this. Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter. It's the way he fights, the story he has, everything about the guy is just, I love everything about Charles Oliveira. And that loss to Armin, a lot of Charles Oliveira fans will call it robbery. No, he lost fair and square. You won't find a bigger Oliveira fan than me. He lost that fight fair and square. Close fight, very competitive fight. He lost that, though. Not a bad loss to Armin. But now he's taken on Michael Chandler, who comes back after over a 2-year layoff, waiting and begging Conor McGregor for attention and a fight. It's finally good that Michael Chandler back because the UFC is better when exciting fighters like Michael Chandler are actually active and fighting. And it's a shame because the guy's like almost 40 years old, basically. He's like, like 37, 38. And maybe he's 36. I'm not sure, 36 or 37. But that's old for the for not light heavyweight, for the lightweight division. That is old for that division. But Chandler just wasted his career, but he's getting a chance to debatably be the number one contender in this fight, even though if he beats Charles Oliveira, he does not deserve a title shot. But he could find himself in a similar situation like Israel Adesanya, where if Islam beats Armin, there really isn't, off the top of my head, there's not really a clear number one contender. And the UFC could feel that they owe Chandler for kind of stringing him along a bit, even though that's Chandler's fault. He was selling wolf tickets to all the fans. And to be honest, shame on Chandler. Dude kept saying, oh, it's going to happen at the Sphere. I'm fighting Conor here. Dude was literally lying to the fans about this. I think you're an absolute scumbag if you're doing that. So Chandler, just this guy needs to do better. And I don't know what he's thinking. But he's getting Charles Oliveira in the rematch. This is a really tough fight for Michael Chandler. And I think that, when I look at Vegas odds, I feel like Oliveira's always kind of gone, kind of gotten shat on by Vegas. This fight, Vegas, I think is a minus 265. They are 100% backing Charles Oliveira. And it's for a good reason. He slept him in the first fight after almost being finished by Chandler, but that was a long time ago. That was a really, that was, over 2, 3 years ago. And Michael Chandler has not fought in 2 years. His only wins in the UFC are over Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker. And the Dan Hooker win is age better. But if Dan Hooker and Chandler fought, if this version, this kind of, I don't know if it's a different version of Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker is a better fighter than what he was 2 years ago. That is a fact. And I think that guy might even beat Michael Chandler. So Chandler's resume is not very good. He has only fought the best of the best, and he was close to finishing Dustin Poirier. He was close to finishing Charles Oliveira. But I think this fight is too much for Michael Chandler. After a 2-year layoff, he's going up against a beast like Charles Oliveira, who has become a better striker as his career has gone on. He's become more defensively responsible as his career has gone on. His jiu-jitsu is second to none, and he's a finished machine. And he doesn't really have bad losses. I mean, what? His last 2 losses are to Islam. I mean, Islam's like a top 10 fighter all time. And Armin's elite, and that was a close fight. Who knows? Maybe it was 5 rounds. Maybe if they run it back, Charles Oliveira could get it done. He was close on some of the chokes. Maybe he has a better game plan. That was a close fight, and Armin's elite. It's not a bad loss. I mean, Islam and Armin both beat Michael Chandler. So it's just, I think this fight is too much for Chandler because Charles Oliveira, he's going to be even more used to Chandler's really just throw everything, throw caution in the wind, throw everything at his opponent. That's kind of hard to get used to. Look at Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. The first fight, Yuri Prochazka was winning. He was actually able to touch Alex Pereira. The second fight, it wasn't even competitive. And I firmly believe the fact that Pereira was in the octagon with Yuri before the second, let me say this again. He already had fought Yuri previously before the rematch. I think he was used to the style that Yuri was going to go with, and I think he knew the game plan for. And I know it's kind of hard to game plan for a wild man like Chandler, but I do think Oliveira will be able to game plan to a certain extent where Michael Chandler just full force, going forward, massive left and right hooks, massive kicks, going for some crazy takedowns, using all of his energy. I think Oliveira's going to be prepared for it. And I think Oliveira's better everywhere. I think he honestly hits harder than Chandler. His jiu-jitsu game, he can use as a defense mechanism. If Chandler hurts him with a shot, Charles Oliveira will go down, go on his back. And Chandler, I do think Chandler, if he uses his wrestling effectively, can, win some ground exchanges, but he also can get caught, in a submission. And if he lets Oliveira, not just he just, if you let Oliveira on your back, don't matter who you are probably, it's probably over for you. So I just, listen, could Chandler get this done? He has the explosiveness and he has the power to get this done. But I just don't see how this works. This is too much for a 2-year layoff. He doesn't have like the greatest wins in the UFC, even though he has had a very hard strength of schedule. I just don't see how he gets this done. Charles Oliveira is too good everywhere. And he's used to the Michael Chandler style. He's going to know like what's coming. Obviously, Michael Chandler's going to, bum rush you and stuff like that. But now he's used to it, which I think will help him in this fight. And I don't see Chandler wanting the fight smarter. And I don't really see it working out for him. What, Chandler's going to go pick him from range, or he's going to, not, he's going to be more precise and stuff like that. I just don't see that. Chandler, for his entire career, go watch him versus Eddie Alvarez and Bellator. He has always had the method of I am swinging to take your head off. And it has worked for him in a lot of ways. He almost finished Oliveira in the first fight. He almost finished Dustin Poirier. I mean, Dustin even said himself, if he if he threw some straight shots, he probably would have got him out of there. Like, I think Dustin meant that. Chandler was beating him up in that first round for a little bit until he got countered. This fight's going to be awesome. There's going to be a finish. I believe, it's 5 rounds. It's going to be ultra exciting. Actually, is it 5 rounds? I should know this. I don't know if it actually is 5 rounds, so I might be mistaken there. I actually don't think it is. I don't. If it's not 5 rounds, it doesn't need to be. If it's not 5 rounds, this should be 5 rounds. So sorry if I made a mistake there, but I believe it's 3 rounds. I just don't see how Chandler gets this done. I know I've said it 10 times now, but Oliveira's too good everywhere. And for my prediction how it gets done, I could really see Oliveira submitting him. I could see him knocking him out. I think Oliveira's going to hurt him. I think he's going to hurt him badly. He's going to go for a submission. In the first fight, Oliveira hurt him. Just kept sending left hooks when he was running down Chandler against the fence, left hook after left hook, till the ref called it a TKO. I think Charles Oliveira hurts him similarly. Hurts him in the same way. I don't know exactly. I'm just saying maybe with a right hook or right or left hook, something like that. Hurts him badly and goes for a submission. I'm going to say grabs his back, gets a rear naked choke, kind of similar to what he did to Gaethje. And I think that's how this fight's going to play out. I think Oliveira's going to get it done. I think Oliveira's going to get it done in the first round. I'm going to go late first round, rear naked choke for Charles Oliveira against Michael Chandler. And with a loss here, first of all, Michael Chandler debatably has a better chance to get the McGregor fight if he loses here. But with a loss here, Michael Chandler will never be UFC champion. He will probably never get the McGregor fight, even though since he lost again, his chances do go up, in my opinion. I don't know what Chandler does after that. In the reaction video, we'll discuss that. But I got Charles Oliveira winning by rear naked choke in the first round over Michael Chandler. And Charles Oliveira submits himself as potentially a number 1 contender, especially with no, like I said, no real, true number 1 contenders. Especially if Islam beats Arman, Islam's kind of beating everyone in a rematch of Oliveira. It's big. It's a big fight. Oliveira, gaining a good win over Chandler. As being basically everyone in the top 10, essentially, besides Arman and Islam. So that fight would be, would be decently compelling, even though I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. So Islam gets it done again against Oliveira. And I'll be praying that that doesn't happen, but I don't see how Islam loses. But on to the main event of UFC 309. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I've talked about in some videos how disappointing this fight is, why this fight just doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna skip all that and just kind of give the prediction. Stipe, he has an amazing resume, but it's just there's so many question marks. His last fight, was in 2020, and Ngannou, put a beating on him. That's one of the biggest ass whoopings I've seen in UFC history. And, his last win was against Daniel Cormier, which is a great win. But, how long ago is this? 4 years ago? And I guess you could say Jon Jones has some question marks because he hasn't fought since UFC 285, which was a long time ago. But Jon Jones looked great against Ciryl Gane. Even though we didn't see him that much, it was under 2 minutes. The takedown Ciryl Gane, submitted like that, that's a great win. That's a fantastic win that I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for. And obviously, you have to pick Jon Jones, even though I do believe this is a little bit of a trap fight, because a lot of the times Jon Jones fights to kind of the perceived level of his opponent. You look at, everyone thought Gustafsson was going to get him in the rematch. John Jones destroyed him. Everyone thought Glover Teixeira was going to get him. He destroyed him. People, he likes to fight to people's streams too. Everyone's like, oh, DC's Olympic wrestling is going to get him. John Jones shows that he is a better wrestler than DC. And, Cyril Gane, everyone thought, oh, this new breed of heavyweight, he's going to win. I believe Cyril Gane, I don't know if it closed like that, but I believe he was like a very slight favorite going into the Jones fight, which is just crazy to think about with what happened. But everyone thought Gane was going to do it. John Jones beats him, and no one thinks Stipe is going to do it. So I could see this being a trap fight in a way that Jones fights down to the level and maybe doesn't win as dominantly as people think, or who knows? It's heavyweight, man. It's one shot. It's not like Stipe has Aspinall or let's say Ngannou power, but he still hits hard and he has good striking. To be fair, we don't really know how good his striking is now. But I'm gonna, regardless if I think Stipe is, out of his prime, I definitely think he's out of his prime. I do think his striking can, is still good. I think Stipe would beat a lot of heavyweights. Not saying he'd beat Gane, Volkov, or Aspinall, but I mean a lot of these lower level bums he definitely beat. But I just don't see how you can pick Stipe in this fight. And I just see a scenario where I think about how Ngannou bullied him on the ground in their second fight, bullied Stipe on the ground in their second fight, and I can just see John Jones taking Stipe down, and he's going to want to use those 12-6 elbows now. Trust me, he's going to be thinking about that. He's going to throw some of those in. And I could just see him mauling Stipe on the ground, just beating the shit out of him. And, when we look at like past just undeserved title shots like this fight is, think about Marlon Vera, Sean O'Malley, the beating Sean O'Malley put on him. Think of like Colby Covington's Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, it wasn't that eventful, but he still put a beating on Colby Covington. Colby was saying that his legs didn't hurt after that fight while he's walking around with like 10-pound ice packs on him. Just what a clown Colby is, but no. All right, that's another topic there. But we think about all these undeserved title shots, and this is another one, and I just don't see this going Stipe Miocic's way. And I know, John, this is kind of a trap fight because everyone thinks John is going to beat him. No one holds Stipe in high regard in this fight. Obviously, he's a champion and is all-time great, yes. But in this fight, no one's taking him seriously. But I have to believe that since this is probably Jones's last fight, unless he fights Pereira, but I think this is Jones's last fight. I do think if he retires, he will come back eventually. But this is probably his last fight. I don't see him just going out on an L with that sour taste in his mouth after losing to, old guy Stipe, who's a minus like 700, like, what is he, like a 750 right now, the beat? I just don't see that happening. So even though I could see this fight being, less dominant, I could see John Jones being less dominant than people think. I just don't think I'm picking him to be absolutely dominant because there's no way Jones is going to be okay going out on a loss. And he knows that if this is his last fight, he needs to go out and make a statement and go out I just beat the shit out of Stipe. Now I'm riding off in the sunset. So I'm picking John Jones second round TKO. I think John Jones is going to strike him a little bit. I think he's going to outstrike Stipe. And I think he's going to be able to take him down, and he's going to beat the dog shit out of him. I think it's going to be a dominant first round for John Jones. And in the second round, I think, maybe Stipe lands, a nice jab, looks a little better. But I think Jones is just, he's going to be like, I'm going to take you down again. And I think he's just going to just elbow Stipe over and over and over again until the fight's done and the ref is pulling him off of him. I don't see this going well for Stipe. If you told me this was a decision win for John, and maybe it's a scenario where he does fight down to his perceived level of competition, but, let's say he wins 4 or 5 rounds, that wouldn't shock me. I know that sounds crazy, but it wouldn't shock me for some reason. I could just see it happening. I don't know why, but that's not going to be my prediction. I think John Jones is going to want to put on a statement for his last fight. And, who knows? He knocks out Stipe like this. He gets more leverage in negotiating for a fight against Alex Pereira potentially. God, let's pray we don't see that because he needs to fight Tom Aspinall if he fights again. But yeah, I got John Jones making Stipe Miocic look easy and finishing him with elbows in the second round. And I think Stipe's going to look a lot slower. He's going to look washed up. And his last fight, our last impression of Stipe fighting is him getting absolutely destroyed. And he's not fought in 4 years. You just have to question the training, the mindset, how much he wants it. You have to question things because obviously, he wants it. Obviously he wants it, but it's easy to say yes to go fight John Jones and you get a free title shot. That's an easy yes. Anyone's saying yes to that. But the fact that he has not fought since, he's not worked his way back up to the title, I question how seriously he's taking this, to be completely honest. And obviously he's taking it seriously, but like, is he taking it serious to the level of a Tom Aspinall or John Jones? I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think he would have fought already if that was the case. But yeah, that's my prediction. John Jones defends the heavyweight belt. Finally, we get a heavyweight title defense. God, this division moves so slow. Oh my gosh! But about time it finally happens. Hopefully, it won't happen. I bet my life on it doesn't happen, bro. Hopefully, we get Jones versus Aspinall next, and pray, guys, pray that Stipe does not win this fight, because if Stipe wins, they will do a rematch, which means we have to go probably wait another year and a half for Stipe versus Jones too. So everyone, I know it would be funny if Stipe won, but if you care about the heavyweight division, want to see this division move on, pray that Stipe does not win this fight, because there's a lot of, just imagine that they do a rematch. Oh my gosh, just maybe I guess it would be kind of compelling since Stipe beat him. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it actually be kind of compelling. But I don't want it. I want nothing to do with these two fighting ever again. I've had enough of it. We waited long enough. But so let me know what you guys think about my predictions for the top two fights on the main card. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.